Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Olivia's Blooms. Today, I just have a few quick chores. It's a busy Sunday for me, and I do want to get a few more things done in the garden though, while I still can. So we are just shy of 6 weeks before our average first frost. So ideally, I've gotten everything direct sown or transplanted by now in terms of cool flowers that I want to have ready for the spring. But I just got my packet of White Finch Orlaya from Johnny's Seeds. And so I'm going to throw these in the ground. These are hardy down to a zone 6. So they should do really well as a cool flower. And I know other folks who have grown cool flowers recommend these. So I'm gonna go ahead and I've got a bunch, I'm gonna throw some in the ground and see if they get big enough and are able to overwinter for the spring. The other thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to try for the first time some cover crop. Now this is a gigantic bag. I did not need to buy this large of a bag, but this was the smallest size available at my local store. And I wanted to use something from the local store because they should know kind of what's a really good fall, winter cover crop for our area. So this is actually a blend of 34% winter barley, 29% fall oats, and 22% crimson clover, which I think will also look beautiful in addition to helping maintain some living roots in my soil. Now, I've seen a lot of videos on how to use cover crops in regenerative farming. I haven't seen a lot on how to do it on just a small scale, small garden. So I'm really interested in trying that for myself and to take you guys along with me to see how this works. So again, I should have just enough time if I direct sow these today to get them in the ground and up and going, and then have them just keep the soil food web going and not leave any of my beds empty. So really excited to try this. We'll see how it goes. One other thing about White Finch Orlaya is it likes to be direct sown. That's how Johnny's Seeds recommends. So that's another reason why I can probably get away with direct sowing it right now. If these prefer to be transplanted, I should have started them 4 to 6 weeks ago because they really should be sown or transplanted as transplants, not as seeds at this time of the year. But because they prefer to be direct sown, I think we still have time. So first step, I'm gonna go feed the fish and then we'll get these in the ground. Okay, here we are in the spot that I've chosen for the Orlaya. This year I had a bunch of annuals in this spot. So this is the Queen Anne's lace that I'm not seeing any seeds sprouting yet, but should spread, I would think, by seed. But the rest of this bed is zinnias. I've got a Scotch broom here, but a bunch of annuals and then just a couple grapevines. See, these grapes are ready to harvest. But the zinnias and the celosia here are going to be gone in the spring. So this should be a great spot for some white fluffy flowers. So similar to my previous video on seeding, I'm going to sow it pretty heavily. Now, this already has a pretty good layer of compost, so I'm probably not going to add any more. You can see here some celosia direct sowed itself, and I think that's a good sign. I think it shows me that seeds can germinate just fine here without any additional amendments. So, oh, these are very big seed. Here's the White Finch Orlaya seed. And the packet says to sow seed thinly, covering lightly. Another reason today is a great day to throw some direct sown seeds in the ground is we just got past Tropical Storm Ophelia and the ground is very wet, and we also have some more rain in the forecast. So today is a perfect day to get these in the ground. So I am just really going to scatter these around. You can see them there. They're really big. And definitely going to put some in the back here. This is probably a lot more than I need to sow. I'm going to pull out these dead celosia. Now these little seeds here, they're not going to make it. They are not winter hardy here, and so as soon as our first frost comes, it's going to kill them. So all right, I have a lot of seed here, so I'm probably overdoing it a little bit, but the next thing I'm going to do is just press them in the ground with my shoe. Make sure they have good soil contact. You can see there. Go ahead and press these all in. I don't think I'm even going to water them in because we have a lot of rain coming. I'm gonna call that a day and see how these do. It's as easy and simple as that. Now let's move on to the cover crop. So this is why cover cropping for a home gardener is a little bit tricky. And I'm again doing this as an experiment, but ideally you want to select the areas of your garden that are not going to have roots in them over the winter, and the goal is to grow a cover crop in those areas. Now this bed's empty now, but this is where my garlic is going to be. This bed has my potatoes and a couple cabbages, so I might sow some in the corner here because this corner is going to be empty until I'm ready to plant something here in the spring. So we'll sow some here. And again, this is an experiment, but a couple notes about cover cropping. You do not want your cover crop to go to seed because then it's gonna spread. The idea is that you let it grow, and then before it goes to seed, you kill it off, and there are a variety of ways that you can do that with cover crops. You can mow them down, you can cover them with a tarp, or you can, at this time of year, if you have enough time, you can choose something that is not winter hardy, and then it will winter kill, and the frost will kill it off for you, and then you leave the plant material in the ground, and that serves as organic matter for whatever you're going to grow next. All right, so you can see I'm just sprinkling it around, not doing anything fancy, and if it's not going to rain in your forecast, you're going to want to water your cover crop in. Got a little something germinating here. I think I planted some cabbage seeds here a long time ago. I'm not sure there's enough time for that to mature, but I can consider that its own little cover crop. All right, so I've got this little corner cover cropped. Now this is the tricky part. So I've got tomatoes growing here, and they're going to be winter killed, so I can't really start any seeds underneath them. The seeds won't really germinate and have enough sunlight to stay up. So what I might do is just let the tomatoes die back and then work those into the ground as long as they're not diseased, and try that as a regenerative gardening practice. Underneath these hyacinth beans, I'm gonna have some bare soil. So, and this tropical storm shifted my trellis. Look at this beautiful trellis covered in beans. I have the ruby moon hyacinth bean, which I've been cutting tons of, and I have some delicious pole beans here that I got a nice big crop off of. But we're not here to talk about beans, we're here to talk about cover cropping. So let's sprinkle some seed around here. And I think it will be fun also to just look out and see that crimson clover. You can see my beets in the background and some of my peas. And the last area I'm gonna cover crop is right here. This is probably an ideal situation. So here's my basil, and these plants are happy, but they're not gonna last much longer as it gets cold. And there's enough room in between, I think, for seeds to get some light and sunshine and air circulation to grow. So I'm going to spread some seed just around these empty bare spots. And I'm not gonna thin cover crop. I think the goal is that it's just gonna be quick and easy. Oh, we've got a little frog friend here enjoying my sweet potato leaves. Love seeing frogs in the garden. Hopefully he's eating up any of those bad insects. And I'm just gonna lightly press all of these seeds into the soil, and I wish you could smell the basil as I'm moving around in between it. Gotta make some pesto today, I guess, now. So I'm just gonna make sure these seeds have good contact with the soil. And that took me all of a few minutes. Another thing about cover cropping is I am not going to fertilize. The whole concept of and benefit of regenerative practices is that you have everything you need in the soil, and the cover crop itself is supposed to help serve both as a way to keep the soil food web happy, but also as a way to fertilize the soil without having to bring anything else in. And so I am not going to add compost, I'm not going to add biotone starter fertilizer. I'm just going to let these plants feed the garden themselves. And again, I'll keep you updated. This is where I'm probably going to plant some more cool season flowers, maybe my stock in the spring. So I'll let you know how they do with having been cover cropped here. Thanks for joining me today, guys. I hope you had as much fun as I did on this rainy day. First step, I'm gonna go feed the fish.